Okay, start off with water, the first element. So it says here, potable drinking water must be made available at no cost to the employee. So there has to be some way that you can sort of verify that it's potable water. Did it come from a reliable source? Did it come from, say, a city water system? Okay, if you're taking it from a well, Cal OSHA may ask you if there is a question or a complaint about that. The inspector can ask you to verify that that is truly potable water. Okay, it meets potable standards. Okay. Maintain at all times sufficient quantities of cool potable drinking water, enough to provide at least 1 quart per employee per hour. So employee works an 8-hour day. What's the volume of water for an 8-hour day? 2 gallons, right? 4 quarts in a gallon, 8 hours in a day, right? 2 gallons. What if you have a big crew and you can't provide all of that water at the beginning of the day? What can you do?
You have to have
Provision to replenish. Okay? Everybody hear that? So in your written procedures, right, you're going to have a procedure to replenish. So in other words, in your procedure it's going to say, I'm going to check the water at a set frequency, and we are going to refill the water as we go throughout the day. Okay, water must be fit to drink. Water containers cannot be refilled from non-potable sources. You know, we've heard stories, farm workers suggesting to us that they were asked to go over to the canal and take the igloo and dip it into the canal. Okay, we've heard stories of water coming from non-potable, sources. So make sure that you can verify that the water is potable, as I said before. Care must be taken to prevent contamination of the drinking water supplied to the workers. Previous to this, on a slide last year, there was a picture of a garden hose with a red slash through it. And there was sort of a misconception that you could not use a garden hose to fill your containers for water. And that's not true. At the end of the day, whatever water that you're supplying to your employees, it needs to be potable, it needs to be suitably cool, okay? It needs to be in a sanitary container. Okay, that's the bottom line. The fact that you used a garden hose, if the garden hose is sanitary, clean, okay, to fill it, that's okay. The picture here kind of shows a little worst case scenario. They've got the hose now in a real, dirty liquid container here, and I guess the suggestion is, yeah, this hose would be used to fill your potable water container. That's what we're saying no to. Implement and maintain effective replenishment procedures when commencing the shift with smaller quantities. We mentioned that. Here's another container. Looks a little dirty inside. Okay, has a can down inside of it. All right. So typically, what Cal OSHA enforcement's going to do, they're going to come up and they're going to run a little of your water across the back of their hand and feel that it's suitably cool, or the inside of their forearm. They're just going to feel for the difference in temperature. They're going to open the igloo. If you've got an igloo out there, they're going to look down inside of it, make sure it's clean. Okay. So they're just going to do a check like that. Okay, locate the water containers as close as practicable, okay, given the working conditions and layout of the work site. Maintain it readily accessible and encourage the frequent drinking of water. It actually says that in the regulation, encourage the frequent drinking of water. So if you've got the water as close as possible, that is going to encourage frequent drinking of water. If the water is suitably cool, that's going to encourage the frequent drinking of water. Okay? So you think about that. So you have to do the best you can to get it as close as possible. Individual, I see a lot of people with water bottles here. Individual water containers are okay as long as they are kept in a sanitary condition. The construction industry actually has that written into the regulations now, specific to allowing for personal water containers, water bottles, or the single-use drinking cups. You've got those choices. It specifies that. Okay, but the key is that you got the water bottle with you. It needs make sure that it is in a sanitary condition. Okay, that's the key. No different than the sort of mother container there that you can be taking the water from. Okay, so I like the idea of people having water with them. People are much more likely to drink water if they've got it with them. Okay. Okay, in agriculture, we've had situations where it's very difficult with workers doing piecework to try to get them to stop and drink water. Okay, difficult situation. And so what some employers have gone to, they've gone to some sort of an audible device, you know, an air horn, a whistle, something where it's their policy, it's written into their policies that the workers, when they blow the whistle or blow the air horn, the workers will stop working and come over and take a drink of water. And it's in their procedures that the warmer it gets, the more they blow the whistle, okay? Because they want them to stop, right? Take a quick little break. The idea here is we drink small quantities of water throughout the day. That's how we stay hydrated. If you wait until you're thirsty, your lips are dry, your mouth's dry, you're really thirsty, you're probably already on the way to being dehydrated or dehydrated, okay? So you don't want to wait, all right? This is a tough one because you don't know how your workers present in the morning when they show up for work, all right? You don't know if they're hydrated or not, right? They don't have a big H or knot on their forehead when they show up to work. That's a tough one. You don't know if that employee had the 12-pack the night before at the barbecue, right? And then got the big Code Red Mountain Dew or energy drink on the way to work full of caffeine, right, which is a dehydrator, right? So now they're showing up to work and they're thirsty because they're really dehydrated, maybe even a little hungover. And so they're drinking a bunch of water, trying to get hydrated. They're already behind the curve, okay? So they're at a deficit already from a hydration standpoint. So it's really important from a training standpoint, you let your employees know when they present in the morning, they show up in the morning to start work, right? They need to be hydrated, okay? That's part of their responsibility. Okay, anything about water? Any questions about water? There are, for instance, I know I'm a home brewer, and so you can take containers and you can use, I believe it works out to about I think it's around a 5% bleach solution, but there's contact time too, that you have to leave it in contact with the surface, and then you don't have to rinse it, you can just dump that out and then you can go in without rinsing. But I think if you get on the internet, you'll be able to see what those concentrations and contact times are. But yeah, you can actually use household bleach. In fact, a lot of the public water systems actually just have peristaltic pump injection systems at the wellhead, right, that actually just inject sodium hypochlorite, right, so to actually sanitize our water. Other questions about water? How about Gatorade? I usually get that question about Gatorade. Cal OSHA's position is that water, so this quart per hour, this 2 gallons per 8-hour shift, water, if you want to sort of add on and supplement that with Gatorade, then that's okay. But the rule of thumb, they're going to be looking, when they come out to do inspections, they're going to be looking for the water when they're out there. Okay?